She rescued a bird, and something unbelievable happened. The morning sun filtered through the kitchen window of Anna's modest apartment in Portland, Oregon, casting long shadows across the hardwood floor that hadn't been properly cleaned in weeks. Anna Martinez sat at her small dining table, staring at a cup of coffee that had long gone cold, her fingers tracing the rim absently. 3 months had passed since her mother's funeral, and the silence in the apartment felt heavier with each passing day. The walls, once adorned with photographs of family gatherings and holiday celebrations, now seemed to mock her with memories of happier times. She forced herself to stand, knowing that another day of work at the veterinary clinic awaited her. It was the only routine that kept her anchored to reality, the only thing preventing her from drowning completely in her grief. As she grabbed her jacket from the coat rack near the door, she heard a faint rustling sound coming from the small balcony. Portland's frequent rain had stopped sometime during the night, leaving everything damp and glistening in the early morning light. Opening the sliding door, Anna discovered a small sparrow huddled in the corner, its right wing bent at an unnatural angle. The bird's tiny chest heaved with labored breaths, and its dark eyes held a mixture of fear and exhaustion. Inna knelt slowly, her veterinary training taking over as she assessed the creature's condition. The wing was definitely broken, probably from a collision with the building's glass windows that often confused migrating birds. "Hey there, little one," she whispered, her voice hoarse from disuse. It was the first time she'd spoken aloud in her apartment in days. The bird didn't flee as she gently cupped it in her hands, perhaps too weak to resist, or sensing somehow that she meant no harm. Inna could feel its rapid heartbeat against her palm, a fragile reminder of life's persistence even in the face of trauma. She brought the sparrow inside, clearing a space on her cluttered coffee table. Years of working at the clinic had taught her how to handle injured wildlife, though technically she should report it to a wildlife rehabilitation center. But something about this broken creature resonated with her own shattered state. She couldn't bear the thought of passing it off to someone else, not when caring for it might give her days some semblance of purpose. Anna retrieved supplies from the emergency kit she kept at home, gauze, medical tape, and small wooden splints she'd fashioned from popsicle sticks for previous rescues. Her hands moved with practiced precision as she carefully aligned the broken wing bones, the sparrow surprisingly calm throughout the procedure. Perhaps it was in shock, or perhaps it understood on some primal level that she was trying to help. "There we go," she murmured, securing the final piece of tape. "That wasn't so bad, was it?" The bird tilted its head, regarding her with those dark, intelligent eyes. Anna found herself wondering what it had seen in its short life, what stories it could tell if only it could speak. She prepared a small cardboard box with soft towels, creating a makeshift nest in the corner of her living room where the afternoon sun would provide warmth. As she placed the sparrow gently in its new temporary home, Anna felt something shift inside her chest, a tiny crack in the wall of numbness she'd built around her heart. For the first time since her mother's death, she had something to care for, something that needed her. She spent the rest of the morning before work researching the best diet for recovering sparrows, making notes about protein-rich insects and seeds. Her co-workers at the clinic would surely have suggestions too. That evening, returning from work with a small container of mealworms and specialized bird food, Anna found the sparrow exactly where she'd left it, though it seemed more alert. She offered it water from a small dropper, watching as it drank eagerly. "You're a fighter, aren't you?" she said softly. "My mum would have liked you. She always said the smallest creatures often had the biggest spirits." The words caught in her throat, but speaking about her mother to this tiny, injured bird felt somehow easier than talking to the well-meaning friends who kept calling to check on her. Days turned into a routine that gave Anna's life unexpected structure. Each morning before work, she would check on the sparrow, change its bedding, provide fresh food and water, and spend a few minutes simply observing its progress. The bird grew stronger, beginning to hop around the confines of the box, testing its good wing while the injured one remained carefully immobilized. Her colleagues at the veterinary clinic, particularly Dr. Sarah Chen, offered advice and encouragement when Anna mentioned her small patient. "You know, taking care of something else when we're grieving can be incredibly healing," Sarah said one afternoon as they prepared for surgery on a German Shepherd. "It reminds us that life continues, that we still have the capacity to nurture and love, even when we're broken ourselves." Anna nodded, not trusting herself to speak. Sarah didn't know the half of it, how the little sparrow had become her reason to get up each morning, how its steady recovery gave her hope that perhaps her own wounds might heal too. 2 weeks into the sparrow's rehabilitation, Anna decided it was time to check the wing's progress. She gently removed the splint, her trained fingers feeling along the delicate bones. The fracture seemed to be healing well, though the bird would need more time before attempting flight. As she rewrapped the wing with fresh gauze, the sparrow began to chirp, not the distressed sounds it had made initially, but something softer, almost musical. The melody stopped Anna cold. It was just a few notes, barely a whisper of song, but there was something hauntingly familiar about the tune. She shook her head, dismissing the thought. Grief played tricks on the mind. She knew this from the phantom sounds of her mother's footsteps she sometimes heard in the hallway, the false glimpses of her mother's silver hair in crowds of strangers. That evening, Anna sat on her couch with a photo album she hadn't opened since the funeral. The sparrow watched from its box as she turned the pages, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. There was her mother, Elena Martinez, at Anna's veterinary school graduation, beaming with pride. There they were together at the coast, building sandcastles, despite Anna being well into her 30s. Her mother had always maintained that you were never too old for simple joys. "She used to sing to me," Anna told the bird, her voice thick with emotion. "Every night when I was little, even when I was sick, especially when I was scared. She had this lullaby that her own mother had taught her, something from the old country that she said had been passed down for generations. She never sang it for anyone else, not even my father when he was still alive. It was our secret song," she called it. The sparrow tilted its head, seeming to listen intently. Anna hummed a few bars of the melody, the notes catching in her throat. It was a simple tune, haunting in its beauty, with words in Spanish that spoke of stars watching over sleeping children and angels guarding their dreams. She hadn't been able to bring herself to sing or even hum it since her mother's death. The melody felt too sacred, too painful to release into a world that no longer contained Elena Martinez. Work the next day was particularly challenging. A family had to make the difficult decision to euthanize their elderly cat, and Anna found herself fighting back tears as she assisted with the procedure. Death was a regular part of veterinary work, but lately, every loss felt personal, every goodbye an echo of her own. Sarah noticed her distress and sent her home early, insisting that she needed to be gentle with herself during this difficult time. Arriving home, Anna was greeted by enthusiastic chirping from the sparrow. Its energy had increased dramatically, and she could see it was eager to exercise its wings. She carefully lifted it from the box, carrying it to the kitchen, where there was more space. The bird perched on her finger, its tiny claws gripping gently, and began to flutter its good wing, while the healing wing made smaller, careful movements. "You're doing so well," Anna encouraged, feeling a genuine smile cross her face for the first time in months. "Maybe in another week or two, you'll be ready to fly again." The thought of releasing the bird filled her with an unexpected dread. This small creature had become her companion in grief, her reason to maintain some semblance of normalcy. What would happen when it no longer needed her? The third week brought remarkable changes. The sparrow's wing had healed to the point where Anna could remove the splint entirely, though she knew the bird would need time to rebuild strength in the injured muscles. She created a larger recovery space in her living room, setting up perches at various heights to encourage gentle exercise. The bird took to this new arrangement eagerly, hopping from perch to perch with increasing confidence. It was during one of these exercise sessions that the impossible happened. Anna was sitting on the couch, watching the sparrow navigate its miniature obstacle course, when the bird suddenly burst into full song. But this wasn't just any bird song, it was the lullaby. Her mother's secret lullaby, note for note, with every subtle inflection and gentle trill that Elena Martinez had woven into the melody over years of singing it to her daughter. Anna's coffee mug slipped from her frozen fingers, shattering on the hardwood floor. The sparrow continued singing, its small throat producing sounds that no sparrow should know, could know. The melody filled the apartment, each note a perfect recreation of her mother's voice translated into birdsong. Anna's legs gave out, and she sank to her knees among the ceramic shards, tears streaming down her face as the impossible music continued. "How?" she whispered, her rational veterinary mind warring with what her ears were telling her. "How do you know that song?" The sparrow paused in its singing, flew down to perch on her shoulder and gently nuzzled against her cheek, before resuming the lullaby, softer this time, as if it understood her distress and was trying to comfort her. Anna remained on the floor for what felt like hours, listening to the sparrow sing her mother's song over and over again. Each repetition was perfect, containing tiny variations her mother had added over the years. A held note here, a gentle warble there. Details that no recording had ever captured because the song had never been recorded. It had existed only in the space between mother and daughter, in quiet bedrooms and during long car rides, in moments of fear and celebration. That night, Anna called Sarah, needing to share this impossible experience with someone who might understand. Sarah listened patiently as Anna struggled to explain what had happened, her scientific training making it difficult to articulate something so beyond rational explanation. "I know it sounds crazy," Anna said, pacing her living room while the sparrow watched from its favorite perch. "I know birds can mimic sounds they hear, but Sarah, this bird was injured when I found it. It's been in my apartment the entire time, and I haven't played any recordings because I don't have any. This song, it only existed between my mother and me." Sarah was quiet for a long moment. "Anna, I've been a vet for 15 years, and I've seen things I can't explain. Animals knowing when their owners are in trouble from miles away, pets refusing to leave the graves of their companions, cats finding their way home across impossible distances. Maybe science doesn't have all the answers. Maybe sometimes love finds a way to reach us, even across boundaries we think are absolute." The conversation with Sarah gave Anna permission to stop trying to rationalize what was happening. Over the following days, the sparrow continued to sing the lullaby at specific times, always when Anna was feeling particularly lost in her grief, always when she needed comfort most. It was as if the bird could sense her emotional state and responded with the only medicine that could truly help: her mother's love transformed into song. Anna began talking to the sparrow more freely, sharing memories of her mother that she hadn't been able to voice to anyone else. She told it about Elena's incredible talent for growing tomatoes on their tiny apartment balcony, about her mother's infectious laugh that could fill a room, about the strength she'd shown during her battle with cancer, never once complaining even when the pain was unbearable. "She would have loved you," Anna said one evening, gently stroking the bird's soft feathers. "She always believed in signs, in messages from the universe. She used to say that love was the only thing that truly survived death, that it just changed form, like energy that could neither be created nor destroyed." The sparrow trilled softly, a sound that somehow conveyed understanding and agreement. As the fourth week began, Anna realized the sparrow was fully healed. Its flight was strong and sure, its movements graceful and confident. By all veterinary standards, it was time for release. But how could she let go of this impossible gift, this messenger that had brought her mother's presence back into her life? The thought of returning to the crushing silence of her apartment filled her with dread. The morning of the sparrow's scheduled release dawned clear and bright, one of those rare, perfect Portland spring days when the city seemed to shimmer with possibility. Anna had chosen Laurelhurst Park, where she and her mother used to feed the ducks every Sunday morning. The sparrow seemed to sense the significance of the day, perching quietly on Anna's shoulder as she prepared a small carrier for the journey. Standing by the pond where she'd scattered her mother's ashes 3 months earlier, Anna felt the weight of another goodbye pressing down on her chest. But this time, something was different. The crushing loneliness that had been her constant companion had softened into something more bearable, a gentle sadness mixed with profound gratitude. "I don't know what you are," she said to the sparrow, cradled gently in her hands. "I don't know if you're a messenger, a miracle, or just a remarkable coincidence that my broken brain has given meaning to. But you saved me. When I found you with that broken wing, I thought I was rescuing you, but you were rescuing me all along." The sparrow sang the lullaby one more time, the melody carrying across the still water of the pond. Inna noticed other people stopping to listen, drawn by the unusual beauty of the birdsong. An elderly man on a nearby bench closed his eyes, a peaceful smile crossing his weathered face. A young mother pushing a stroller paused, her baby quieting at the sound. The song seemed to touch everyone who heard it, spreading comfort like ripples across water. As the last note faded, Anna raised her hands and opened them. For a moment, the sparrow remained still, as if reluctant to leave. Then it leaned forward, touching its tiny beak to her nose in what felt unmistakably like a kiss before launching itself into the air. Anna watched through tears as it circled her 3 times, the same number of times her mother used to kiss her goodnight before flying toward a grove of oak trees. But the sparrow didn't disappear. It perched on a low branch, clearly visible, and began to sing again. Not the lullaby this time, but a bright, joyful song that seemed to celebrate life itself. Other birds joined in, creating a chorus that filled the park with music. Anna laughed through her tears, a sound she hadn't made since before her mother's illness. "Thank you," she called out, not caring who might hear or what they might think. "Thank you for bringing her back to me, for showing me that love doesn't end with death. It just transforms, finds new ways to reach us, even if it has to borrow wings to do it." Over the following weeks, Anna returned to the park every Sunday morning, just as she had with her mother. Sometimes she saw the sparrow, distinguishable from others by the slightly crooked way its healed wing folded and by the knowing look in its dark eyes. It would sing for her, sometimes the lullaby, sometimes new songs that somehow still carried the essence of her mother's love. But more importantly, Anna began to heal. She started accepting invitations from friends again, returned to her book club, even adopted a rescue dog named Miguel, who had been abandoned at the clinic. The apartment no longer felt like a tomb, but like a home filled with memories that brought smiles instead of just tears. She began volunteering at a wildlife rehabilitation center, sharing her story with others who were both grieving and healing. 6 months later, at the Wildlife Center's annual fundraising gala, Anna was asked to speak about her experience. Standing before a room full of strangers, she told them about finding a broken bird and discovering that sometimes the universe sends us exactly what we need, exactly when we need it most. She spoke about the mystery of the lullaby, about the impossibility of it that had taught her that impossible things happen every day. We just have to be broken enough or open enough to see them. "I'm a veterinarian," she concluded, her voice strong and clear. "I'm trained to believe in science, in facts, in things that can be measured and proven. But I also believe that love transcends our understanding, that it finds ways to reach us that science can't explain. That broken sparrow taught me that we're all capable of flight, even with broken wings. We just need someone to show us that the sky is still there, waiting for us to remember how to soar." As she left the podium to thunderous applause, Anna felt a familiar presence. Through the large windows of the banquet hall, perched on a tree branch illuminated by the setting sun, was a small sparrow. It sang once, just a few notes of the lullaby, before disappearing into the gathering dusk. Anna smiled, touching the small sparrow pendant she now wore on a chain around her neck, a gift from Sarah, who understood that some connections transcend explanation. The rescue had never been about the bird. It had been about learning that love doesn't require physical presence to be real, that healing can come from the most unexpected sources, and that sometimes, when we think we're saving something else, we're really saving ourselves. The sparrow had been her mother's final gift, a reminder that love is the only thing that truly survives, forever finding new ways to sing its eternal song.